Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing great. We're continuing our reading of this radical feminist book and wrestling with their ideas, grappling with the nonsense. So we're going to continue on that journey. Okay? Go ahead and listen to this as you're peeling potatoes, mincing onions, chopping up some basil, you name it. Let's begin. Bismillah. It starts very young. It starts to happen somewhere between losing your first tooth and finding out what aspects of your face and figure don't match the models in the magazines. At some point, a young girl starts to realize that her body is a piece of property that does not belong to her, or at least not fully. So, our body has rights over us in Islam. Okay? When you get married, there is this aspect of, needing to use your body as this exchange of energy which facilitates life and facilitates the bond your man will have with you if he is capable of bonding, right? Your body is, when you make a marriage vow, it doesn't belong to the community for you to, let every Tom, Dick, and Harry in, but rather it is sort of like your husband's in a way, because you've made a vow to be chaste and to be loyal in that marriage, right? Now, if you break that, okay, that's not right, but in a way, if you look at it, we are property in so many different ways. Our social security number, right? Our GDP, our tax numbers. We're something. We're citizens. We belong to our government, right? If we commit treason against our government, we'll be thrown in a cell. So we are something, and we are slaves of Allah. And a slave, in essence, is, property, right? So, yeah, we submit fully to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we are something. I mean, a piece of property, I get it, they're trying to make it like you're a dairy cow just to be ridden. But I don't think our body fully belongs to just ourselves. We have bodily sovereignty, right? But think about how our body is used to facilitate human life. Our breasts breastfeed our babies, right? Our babies need us. Our breasts belong to our children in a way. And our womb is like this wonderful safe haven for our babies to grow. That is, if you're not a radical feminist who enjoys dismembering babies in the womb. Her body is both a bargaining chip. Yes. I don't see, she was telling women to walk and talk and dress and act like they like to get effed. She says after the third day she puts out. So she's really fast to hand over her body to men who don't want to marry her. So she gets friend zoned a lot. No one's gonna really bargain with the town bicycle. When you bargain, it's like there's a prize there. And a dowry, yeah, if a woman can command while she's in her most beautiful stage financial security in terms of a deposit, which is like a dowry, why not? I don't see anything wrong with that. Because men have to bargain, right? Are you going to provide? You're going to let me relax while I'm pregnant? Or how are you going to support me financially? All this stuff. When you enter into a relationship, a marriage contract, you want to make sure you're not getting the short end of the deal, right? It's a partnership till you die. You both are agreeing to stay together and raise the children, right? And for men, the body is very important. And I'm sorry, feminists still who are heterosexual want to have usually a very in shape, good looking guy. You don't see feminists running to marry obese men. You don't see that, right? Yeah, there's some feminine K-pop guys who they lust over, which is quite bizarre, or androgynous looking men, but at the end of the day they still want a certain body type. So I find it ironic and hypocritical that she doesn't feel women should use their body as a bargaining chip, but that when you are a woman who's heterosexual and you're looking for a mate, you want someone who's nice. Further, what about lesbians? Right? A lesbian butch who's like more masculine and cuts her hair like a guy, they can go sometimes for in shape women who are lesbians. So think about that. Because remember, she likes to break all the niches against each other. She likes to attack heterosexuality, which preserves human life. But she's not really mentioning how lesbians also use their body as a bargaining chip. Her greatest asset in the mad, transactional game of adult life and an invitation to violence. Your body is the most important thing about you. Okay, I see the dual-edged sword, right? You don't want someone to be totally obsessed with their body to the point where they go and get plastic surgery and they start looking like a clown, right? Like Laura Loomer, like, what has she done to her face? They start to look like a Disney villain witch. And you're like, oh, stop it. You know, like, just stop it. Like, there's been beautiful girls who are natural and then they go get the Instagram plastic surgery faces and they all look like clones of each other. And you're like, why are you doing this to yourself? And they get these plastic butts. It's so strange. But this same person is, follow me here, she's making no sense because the transgenders, they want to cut off their genitalia and cut off their breasts and take out their uterus so their body reflects what's up here. So think about that. They, Blair White, all these transgender people, they pay thousands of dollars and want hormone therapy so that their body can represent the vision they have in their head, right? And they say that children should be allowed to transition because the body must reflect the mind or they will end themselves. Meanwhile, this lady is claiming she's part of the Rainbow Mafia. But her own argument right here, can the body being used as a bargaining chip can be, that type of accusation can be pressed against lesbians. And her criticizing your body is the most important thing about you is a same thing can be flipped on the transgenders, right? So should we tell transgenders, your body is not the most important thing about you, therefore your surgery should be illegal? You should not be allowed to make yourself a eunuch. What would she say to that? You see? So we don't want people to be brainwashed into thinking that they must mutilate themselves. However, maintaining that beautiful body and health and showing people that being healthy is good and promoting health and fitness, that can actually keep marriages longer lasting. When a woman has gone 2 years after the baby, doesn't lose the baby weight, this can make the man struggle. When a man gets a dad bod and a beer gut, this can make the marriage struggle. So if he stays in shape, gets some nice triceps, you know, his back muscles looking good, this can keep the romance and stimulation going. And so your body is not the most important thing, but it does reflect how you care about yourself, right? It does. If a girl lets herself get morbidly obese, I can see there's a depression, there's a sadness there, there's a medication causing her problems. Because my grandma struggled with severe depression, where she would go over a week without showering. She started to just long for not being in this world. And when she's deteriorating and not taking care of herself, yes, you have to remind her that your body is important, you need to maintain it. The inner mind can think I'm valuable, but if it doesn't, usually the outer body reflects. There's such a complex conversation just around this one sentence, okay? And if it isn't good enough, then people won't like you. I mean, I try to judge people by their character, but if you are a fat, obese slob, I know you may have a good heart. I know that you can maybe have a lot of financial advice or something good about you, But you do have a character flaw of purposely not being able to discipline what goes into your mouth. And you need to work on that. It's got to be taken care of. If your body is unacceptable or too much on display, you might be attacked. Aha, too much on display. Why do we need to have people's camel toes and breasts showing in public? Why? Why am I forced to take part in your fetishism? Why do I have to be forced to see your body against my consent? Modesty is classy. Modesty is good. Why do you want everyone to make you the main character? Why is it that you don't want to operate in the shadows? Like, it's nice being a Muslim woman and just avoiding the sexuality and just, it's like floating from one area to the other without getting attention. When you are competing with other women and your sexuality, and you're flaunting it all, like these girls who go to the gym and it's like, are you going to work out or are you just wearing your underwear? It comes a bit of like your lust and desire and obsession with everyone staring at you is preventing you from focusing because you're too busy glancing and glazing around you for affirmations to actually focus on the task at hand, right? So don't do that. And I saw a video of a woman, it was on Twitter X. She was like in her lingerie getting dressed in front of a 10-year-old boy, and all the guys were like, oh yeah, that boy, he likes the color red now. And I found that to be demonic. There's female predators, and it's like, why is Twitter allowing a video of a woman getting dressed in sexual clothing in front of a minor to be uploaded just because it's a boy? That would be disgusting if the roles were reversed. And subjecting boys to a lot of sexual energy when they're young really enslaves them to the woman, and I would argue pushes him further into the control of women, because his masturbation problems will start too early. And so if you want little boys to look at you, I find you to be quite a creepy individual. And I feel bad for men who marry women who feel the need to want to flaunt everything so that an old man, a young boy, a goat, everyone is staring at them, and they get so much attention off of sexual validation. So notice what she did here. Her body is a bargaining chip, piece of property that's wrong, but then she says, it's wrong if you tell a woman she has too much on display. Then she complained earlier here that women feel bad if they don't look like the models in the magazines. She contradicts herself. So one minute, she's saying it's bad that girls look at sexy women in the magazines and get low self-esteem, but then she's saying here that women should never be criticized and how much of their body they have on display. Do you see on the same page, she has no self-awareness to see that she's bargaining her brains into the bin. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You either are for modesty or you're not. And if you're for immodesty, you can't complain about models in magazines. You might be attacked. You must control yourself. What is wrong with controlling yourself? Do you see here? She mocked good girls. She mocks religion, and now she's basically mocking the idea that women should control their desire to display their camel toe to strangers in the street. And the slickest trick women will do is they say they do it for themselves. That's even more creepy. Like, you're so obsessed with your own self. Like, do you want to go in the bathroom and just make out with a mirror? Can you get your head together? It's strange how they like to deny the fact that many beautify themselves for getting attention from men and trying to get the best partner they can. It changes you. This process of understanding that you must apologize for everything wrong with your body. Okay, so She doesn't. So if you're fat, you have to apologize. If you're sexy, you have to apologize. If you show too much, you have to apologize. But yet, she still was upset if people are really into modesty. Chiefly, the fact that it is female. I mean, I don't want to see a man in a Speedo on the beach with some strange yellow Borat style undies that, displays nutsack, and his hairy body on the beach in a thong. I don't think gay men should be allowed to, have their package barely displayed while they're almost nude. Or I don't think it's right that any man should wear a thong on the beach where his testicles are about to fall out and not have anything else on. I think it's disgusting. It's gross. I think if men who want to do voyeurism and they want to force everyone to participate in their fetish fantasy of forced eye contact, I think that's wrong. It changes the way you take up space, the way you inhibit the contours of your own life. This vision of women as trophies to be bought, sold, and traded existed before modern capitalism. What's wrong with being a trophy? What's wrong with that? I think a lot of women rather be a trophy than be a bag of dog crap. See, how she displays herself and talks about herself, she's not a prize. But if there's a woman who's pure and good, and you and your daughter, like I'm a mother, if my daughters are trophies, I win. Because it means I did good at keeping Shaitan and his legions away, and a red pill loser wasn't able to turn her into something evil. May Allah forbid it. Right? Trophies deserve to be displayed because trophies are harder to get. A trophy shows you had to work for something. And a good girl worked hard to resist bad men, to resist evil Jezebels, to resist women like her, and to stay pure and good. Okay? That is good. And those women deserve the men who are themselves trophies. Because their excellence comes together and makes society better. A good trophy woman doesn't deserve to be wasted on a scumbag. Yes, there are different rankings of people in society. The worse you are, your little social credit score is going to go down. You are not a prize. Not everyone is a prize. Some are destined for the bin. And others are destined to literally be put on a pedestal. So, to be bought, what's wrong with the dowry? She gave it up for free. She gave it up to losers who said wham bam thank you man and ghosted her. She said that herself in this book. So ain't nobody gonna buy her or sell her or trade her because she gives it to everybody. Okay? And as she said, she's queer. So maybe she gives it up to women too. So you can't command a high price because your value is quite low. There's nothing... women who are smart have a standard. I don't want to date somebody who can't even afford to pay their rent. Right? That's a price. You don't get access to my body. I will not bear your children. I will not give you the time of day if you don't have this financial standard. So if you meet this financial standard, it's almost like a transaction, yes. You bought into the opportunity and the ability to marry, right? A man has money to kind of, not bait, but bring things to the table for the woman, right? She has beauty, he has money. That's how it works. The peacock has his feathers, he does his little dance. That's his system. Each critter has their mating strategy. Our mating strategy will be the beauty and purity of women who are trophies and the man's ability to be fertile and provide and loyal. That's just the way it is. However, the logic of neoliberalism, whereby markets must be freed and people are free to do as they are told, is the special sauce. that has smothered sexuality in delusions of its own liberation, freedom to jostle other men for sexual access to women as objects, is not the straightforward sexual repression of despots and religious demagogues, but it is a sexual repression nonetheless. You are free to F or free to be F'd, but only to set a script, and you are under surveillance. If you are female or queer, you will not be permitted to live in your body like you own it. Okay. The man's body belongs to his wife, and he, or wives, if you're polygamous, he cannot commit adultery. It belongs to those with whom he made a marriage contract with. Okay? If he wants to go and become a eunuch, and he's got wives, no. What are you doing? What are you talking about? You need to keep that tallywhacker there. You have wives, you know? If you go and become a eunuch, you forfeit your marriage contract, you violated the terms of agreement, and those women need to divorce you and put you into oblivion of poverty, right? So men are a trophy, and their bodies do belong to their wives as well. This doesn't mean if a woman is bleeding or depressed that the man can commit marital assault and just hurt her and treat her like a piñata. No. She still has bodily autonomy, but she has obligations. She has duties. Okay? That's how it works. And there will be times where both of them are mad at each other, but you have rights upon each other and you try to work it out. That's why counseling matters. You will find your sexuality confiscated and sold back to you at a cost. It is hard for women, too, to remember that they are not commodities, not simply animate meat to be traded for men's money and approval and affection. What about lesbians? Huh? What about lesbians? Can lesbians do that with each other? Or, I have seen quite a few lesbians try to be sexually attractive to women in shape and stuff like that. So what about them? When you've spent your entire life being reminded that whatever else you are a body first, and if your body is not acceptable, you have no value to men, and therefore to the world. Well, beauty, it comes down to beauty. Do women want to marry a hunchback? What about gay men? They are harsh to each other. They are brutal to each other when it comes to being in shape, taking care of their skin. You see a rich, posh, bougie gay guy. He's got designer everything. He's like, I don't know how to explain it, but a French or Italian gay guy, it's like they got these fancy Mercedes, the some rare leather shoes. They're not gonna date somebody who's ugly, and so women are not the only ones who are seen as body first. And with the transgender people, they are always critiquing the men. Do you pass or not? You see their conversations. Do I pass? Do I pass? Do I pass? Like, they're always critiquing, no, you don't pass. You don't pass. And so that's just how humans are. Beauty. They want beauty. And there's nothing wrong with wanting beauty. If we start to... I had this idea that babies, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made babies cute because the amount of stress it takes to take care of them wouldn't be as easy if the child was ugly. Like an orc from Lord of the Rings. If you had a little goblin you had to take care of, it would be much easier to discard rather than a cute, adorable baby who gives you these little smiles and who has these precious, tiny, cute little toes. It's fascinating when you think about it. Because the amount of stress a mother will endure if she gave birth to some, grotesque goblin, it would be like, whoa, like, the attachment wouldn't be there. Our eyes like beauty. That is the way it goes. If you're like Nikaro Avocado, the very obese gay guy who does mukbang videos, If you see how he was when his beginning of his video journey versus now, you can see that the beauty is obviously less. You know, the body shows the health. It doesn't mean you treat people with disrespect because they have human dignity, but it doesn't mean you owe them access to your body or owe them a relationship, because no one is owed a relationship. No one, okay? It's just not what's gonna happen here. You cannot be thinking in your head that you owe somebody something because you want ugly people to have relationships. No, that's just not the way it goes. When you've always been encouraged to measure your worth by your value on the shifting market of male attention, when you've learned this in the white heat of adolescence, when you've grown up having to think every day about how men's desire or lack of it triumphs your own dignity, it can be difficult to remember that you were always meant to be more than something owned. Okay, more than something owned. You want to be beautiful. You want to keep healthy and strong and vibrant. And we have a small window of that as women. A small window. And the older you get and the less beautiful you become, men do treat you different. But if they have taqwa, they're God conscious, there will still be the basic mannerisms of dignity, of treating you as you deserve based on your behavior. Right? Like when you see, an old lady trying to go to the supermarket, if the door needs to be open, someone opens the door. They still treat the grandma with respect, even though she's not on the sexual marketplace, as these red pill dudes say. So, people can still treat you good, but it is true that when a woman has her beauty, she can command more from men. But that's temporary. It's gonna go. It's gonna go away. So it's only a temporary whip that is given to men. And what will they do with it? Will they use it to sift through all the bad men and get their husband? Or will they use their beauty across the spectrum of men, and then when they hit 30, they want to settle down, but their reputation is soiled, and they have a lot of baggage and mental trauma and abortions and whatnot? Well, that's quite different, because you don't have as much to bargain with than when you were 20 years old. It's a lot can happen in those 10 years, and what you do matters. Actions have consequences. So the market of male attention is a beast. If you use the male attention to find a husband, you win. If you use it to start OnlyFans, you lose. Because you got 10 years to get that money, and hopefully you took a class on, how you make that money work for you, because you can go broke so shortly after. And then you'll be back at McDonald's, and you'll be selling those, purses online. So, financial security is something you can acquire if you use your body right. That's just the way it works. Rating sexuality by the amount of sex being had is like judging an orchestra on its volume. Wait, hold on. Oh. Intimacy, like love, is not a discrete or measurable phenomenon. Intimacy is not a scarce commodity that one category of people distribute to another. Nor is intimacy an asset that you can acquire and collect more of. Intimacy isn't something you have, it's something you do. Like dancing. You can dance alone or with someone else. You can do it for fun or for money or simply out of boredom. But if nobody wants to dance with you, it makes no sense to get angry, because you've decided someone's stolen all the dancing and is keeping it for themselves. Redistribution is good. Sharing resources is good. But sexuality itself is not a scarce resource. Now, comparing intimacy to dancing, in a poetic way, the way in which the bodies move, it's like some ballet, right? Unless you're like a jazz dancer and you're just like, blah, 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 whatever. But dancing doesn't make life, does it? Dancing doesn't transmit diseases. It's not the same. Men don't get mad at you for dancing, but they will get mad at you dancing naked for money. You know, see? If you're twerking on a cop car, yeah, your value is gonna go down. If you're a ballerina, or you went to a waltz, a Russian waltz, and a wonderful ball, how the elites used to go to those dances, and you know, woo, like that's nice. You know, she's more classy. But someone having been to 30 balls, these fancy galas, isn't the same as a woman having intimacy with 30 men. You see? If a woman goes clubbing every Saturday night for 10 years, getting drunk and dancing with random men, that's going to definitely put people more off. You know? It's just the way it is, so it's not comparable. I don't think it's right to compare those two. You know, it's just... Dancing is also exercise. Intimacy is exercise. But it's just not the same. It's not an analogy that I think works. You know? What do you think? She's quite saucy. She's quite full of riddles and sophistry, I'd argue. And, you know, it's been important to take down her ideas. But if you want to end up in an old folks home with no children and with a soy boy husband who wants rent money from you and he's not really a provider man, sure, take her route. But at the end of it, I think you'll be more disgusted with an effeminate man who lets you be in an open relationship, doesn't put any boundaries, and, you know, doesn't care that you've had, 100 people in your bed. Those kind of men are not very safe to be fathers, and especially not safe to be stepfathers. Very scary. If you'd like to join my blog and support the channel, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. Hope to see you there.